President Trump is defending Fox News host Bill O'Reilly against accusations of sexual harassment, even as more major companies pull ads from his top-rated program. This is the list of the companies that have done so far. According to CNBC, the list includes BMW, Mercedes-Benz, GlaxoSmithKline, Coldwell Banker. You can see there. O'Reilly has been under fire ever since the New York Times reported Saturday that either the host or Fox paid about $13 million to 5 women since 2002, settling cases of alleged inappropriate behavior by O'Reilly. In an Oval Office interview with the Times yesterday, the president was asked if O'Reilly was being treated fairly. He responded, "He is a person I know well. He's a good person. I think he shouldn't have settled. I don't think Bill did anything wrong." Bill O'Reilly denies the allegations against him and says he settled to, quote, put to rest any controversies to spare my children. A couple of things. Mark Halperin, what do you make of the notion of the president addressing this in the Oval Office and taking it a step further?
Right. You know, I said in the first block that the president was acting more like a normal president, and I think he was in giving Henry McMaster the ability to run the National Security Council in the Rose Garden statement he made yesterday. Some people playing along at home, like Ron Fournier, I think were suggesting I was going all in, saying the president was normal. Doing what he did yesterday and commenting on Bill O'Reilly to reporters in the Oval Office right before his statement on Syria is not normal for a president. No. It creates a huge distraction, gets tons of coverage, and yesterday should have been about projecting strength as he did on Syria, but it is pure Trump and classic Trump for him to then also be willing to address Bill O'Reilly. There's no reason for him to address it, none.
None at all. Elise, what do you make of it?
Well, his defense of Bill O'Reilly is morally bankrupt, but I guess it shows, you know, he can juggle multiple issues at a time that are of importance to him. It just is kind of shocking that so many staffers are around this president, and he still continues. He just cannot control his impulsivity. And you see in the New York Times interview with Maggie Haberman and Glenn Thrush, Hope Hicks interjected to stop him and to try to steer the conversation. But you've got the chief of staff in the room. You've got Sean Spicer in the room. I think that Hope Hicks is probably one of the best influences on Donald Trump that there is in this administration.
Yeah.
Tyson, that's why you pay a price, though, for having an informal White House. Anytime you have 5 or 10 or 15 assistants, all of whom are circling around the president, this sort of things happen. And one of the real questions is whether this administration becomes like a more traditional one over time and narrows the range of people who have direct access to the president. Otherwise, this sort of thing will continue because everybody's got his or her own focus.
And they're jockeying for position, right, and enabling and rather than counseling and trying to curb his worst impulses.
Joe?
And that's what you need. If you're walking into a meeting, you need a chief of staff. Exactly. You need somebody that you trust, a communication director, say, Mr. President, they're going to be asking you about Bill O'Reilly. They'll probably ask you about what you said about Barack Obama yesterday. They're going to ask you about Susan Rice. Today we're talking about Syria. All you say to them, whatever they ask, you say, well, listen, those are important issues. But right now, we're all focused on Syria. We're in the Oval Office trying to figure out how we respond to this heinous attack. And I'm just not going to comment.
I mean,
hold on, here we go. Ready? Here we go. Are you ready? Are you ready? Here, Mika, here's the comment. Ready? I'm just not going to comment. Now ask me the question again. I'm sorry. I'm thinking about Syria. I think more. And then you turn it on them by saying, I think more people are probably interested in the slaughter in Syria right now than what's going on at Fox News. That's very important, and I understand why it's important. But Americans expect me to comment on chemical weapon attacks on citizens, not on Fox News. Mm-hmm. And that you move them back because, seriously, that was his job yesterday, to focus on Syria, not Bill O'Reilly.
We're going to be talking to one of the reporters who's in the room. I think the president actually brought it up himself off the record in some way. And then, I mean, so it's even more blurty than you can imagine. It's also disgusting. I mean, you don't take sides in a settlement on a sexual harassment case that clearly has some legs in some way, somewhere in a network that is, I think, finally going to change its culture and do the right thing. The advertisers are speaking and women are speaking. And I think it's going to work out. But the president shouldn't have done that. Coming up.
Thanks for checking out MSNBC on YouTube, and make sure you subscribe to stay up to date on the day's biggest stories. And you can click on any of the videos around us to watch more from Morning Joe and MSNBC. Thanks so much for watching.